Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up today. We'll have JC here. We'll talk a little college football, also talk a little NFL. Then in the second portion, we'll be joined by Joey Johnston of the USF Bulls. He's their sideline reporter. He'll give us a breakdown of what he thinks is going to happen in the I was going to call it the big sombrero, but as you can see in the background, that's what it's going to look like about 1 o'clock on Saturday. JC, good morning. What's your prediction on capacity at Raymond James Stadium?
I say there's going to be 55,000, maybe 60.
You think that many?
Well, 55,000. I guess the place holds about 65.
That place doesn't even hold 70, does it?
No, it doesn't. It holds, I think it's in the 60s, low 60s, maybe 50. 1 o'clock game should be easy enough for folks to get in and out of, no problem. It's going to be pretty hot, I would guess, but maybe there'll be some clouds. Look, I think the Gator fans are going to be will represent their team well at the ball game, and the field should be fine. There's a game, of course, Thursday night between Tampa Bay and Dallas to start the NFL season. So that's only, that's less than 48 hours. And then Florida and South Florida will get on the field. The field should be okay, I guess. You know more about fields and taking care of fields than I do, but there will be two games there.
What's going to be wrong with the field?
Well, sometimes these pros, they get out there and maybe there'll be a rainstorm. It'll get sloshy and muddy and there'll be, I don't know. I just know there's two games in 48 hours at that ballpark. And Florida will be out there at 1 o'clock running around. Great opportunity for the Gators to hone some things and get themselves prepared for the week after.
We'll talk to Joey, get his thoughts on USF. This is the 25th year of USF football. Do you know that?
I did not know they've been around.
These are the kind of things you learn on our program.
Well, yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I think they're a team that went 1-8 last year, something like that.
They're a bad football team.
They just struggle so much. I guess it's because they just all of a sudden couldn't recruit any players there. I can't answer that question. If you can go to UCF, you can go to USF. To me, they're very similar. But the difference is UCF has an on-campus stadium, maybe had some better coaches, things like that do help. Because South Florida has been, I thought that guy, what was his name, Jim Levitt, when he coached there at South Florida, that school was, they were competitive. Now it's almost as if they can't even field a team that's competitive.
I want to say at one time when he was the head coach, weren't they ranked number 2 in America at one point?
I couldn't. I
want to say they were ranked second in the country, and they played a Thursday night game. And I want to say they either beat somebody, upset them, or they got upset and got knocked out of being ranked number 2. I could be wrong.
Well,
we got a lot of Facebook Live people that know that.
Listen. Here's some interesting things. Not that long ago, 2016, they won 11 games. They were 11-2. In 2017, they went 10-2. So in 2 years, 2016 and 2017, they went 21-4 at USF. Then they went 7-6, and then the wheels came off in 2019, and of course we had last year. They went 4-8, and then 1-8. But in the last 5 years, this team has won 21, 28, 33 games in the last 5 years. But in those 2016 and 2017 years, maybe that was when they hit that high ranking, as you say, when they went 11-2 and 10-2. It's a pretty big school. They have a pretty big enrollment down there, but I don't really look at them that closely, and I know this year is going to be another dreadful year for them. Maybe they beat Florida A&M after they play the Gators. After that, it's hard to see another win on that schedule, frankly. They're not going to compete well. I don't think they're going to play well at all in their league, and I think they're going to lose just about all the games.
Yeah, John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. It was in 2007. They were ranked number 2 in America. Their quarterback was Matt Brophy.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, they've had success there. It's just that, they've always played in this conference that I can remember, and American Athletic Conference now. And I listen, they just don't have any players. They just don't have anything. I don't know what you're going to get out of this. I wouldn't think as a Gator fan you're going to get a whole lot out of this. A lot of players are going to play, I would think. Certainly, I think he's going to let both quarterbacks do their thing, run around. There's not much I will take out of this game, however. Not much at all.
No,
just don't get injured. Just stay healthy, name your score, and get on back and get ready for the real game.
Yeah. So the big game in the Southeastern Conference this week is the night game. It's Kentucky's hosting Missouri. Does that intrigue you at all?
Yeah, because you mentioned Kentucky, and we had talked about them not really all that impressed before the season. Then you had told us the other day that they looked really good in their game. Maybe they are for real. I mean, maybe they give us someone else in the East. It's a 2-horse race in the East, I think. Maybe Kentucky makes it interesting in the East because there are 3 teams in the East that just suck. So I don't worry about Kentucky. I never really have, but it would be interesting to see how good they are. The Missouri is also in the East for some reason, and I'm curious to see what they've got. These are 2 very similar teams. I would say this is a pretty even matchup, QB.
Yeah, I mean, I was not high on Kentucky. I never am, really. Everybody is in the preseason. However, their quarterback really impressed me. Their offensive coordinator impressed me with the concepts that he threw at. Now, it's Louisiana Monroe. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Just his combination of routes and things of that nature is something I've never seen Kentucky do. So we'll see. It should be a good one for sure.
I like the Texas-Arkansas and the North Carolina State-Mississippi State game as interconference games. There's a lot of fluff games as well, but I am interested in that Texas-Arkansas game. See if Arkansas can hang with them.
Yeah, Arkansas is going to be missing their 2 best defensive players for the first half.
That's not good. That's not good.
Lynn made the greatest statement of the day so far on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. Lynn says, "Hope to see completed passes Saturday."
If you if you can't complete a pass against these guys, I really have a lot of problems. But yeah, they'll be fine. QB, this is not going to be a close game.
Obviously they've been listening to my show because that is our problem at the quarterback position. I'm not talking about throwing wide receiver screens. I'm talking about 10 to 15 yard intermediate passes you have to complete on a consistent basis.
What's old Buddy Martin say about this quarterback conundrum? I know you guys talked about it yesterday, but I missed it. What did he have any concerns similar to yours?
Here's the thing, JC. Both quarterbacks are going to play all year long. People need to go ahead and put that in their mind. They're going to both play. Anthony is talented, okay? And here's what's amazing to me. And maybe it's because I was never a runner. The guy I played for he never called run plays for the quarterback.
Yeah.
But how people get so excited when a quarterback makes a run. You know what I'm saying? Let's get excited when they complete a bunch of balls, is my point. Now, and I think people saw him do the old Grant Holloway over that defender, which phenomenal athletic play. But again, let's go back to the definition of the quarterback position. That's my point. They're both going to play. They're both going to play all year long.
Right.
But they're not going to say this guy's the starter. I'll put money on it right now.
Well, you coached, as a coach, QB, you coach to the strengths of your players, right? And if the guy, look, you've said it on many cases, in many shows that I've done with you, on so many, you've always said, look, dude, if the guy can't pass, he ain't going to be passing. And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, if dudes can't pass, they can't pass.
Right. But my point is, it's just funny to me how the general public, they get so excited over a run play.
They get excited. I think they just get excited about seeing a big play. It's a run play. Yeah. I think, look, they would have got just as excited if Emory Jones had hit somebody on a 65-yard, go route.
That's where you get excited if you're looking at the quarterback position. That's my only. I'm not trying to knock anyone or anything like that, but I've said it. I said it at the end of last year when Kyle Trask graduated. For us to be good on offense, we got to complete balls. It sounds easy, but it ain't that easy. We got a text here from Ryan. He says, "Good morning, gents." This is on the Titan Mar text line. It's been a while since I've chimed in, but happy to report the concert in Arlington was enjoyed by all. Old Willie can still strum it and carry a tune at 88, and the Texas Live hangout that JC recommended
man.
was pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Shane, as a coach's son, a longtime player and coach yourself, give me some straight talk. Will the word Bama be uttered at all in practice this week, given how bad USF is, or will it only be Coach Mullen and the staff looking ahead to next week's game plan? Just wondering if these coaches' cliche are true about one game at a time and such when you, JC, Pat Dooley, and some of the golfing buddies could give you USF a run later on.
Yeah.
No, they're focusing on USF, trust me. This is a game where you got to get rolling. You got to get some type of rhythm. You got to complete passes. They're not thinking about Alabama. I'm sure the players are, but we got to take care of business. Go down there and not sputter around. And
Alabama's in the same boat, folks. I mean,
who are they playing?
They're playing the Mercer Bears. So, I mean, that's an FCS team. That's an FCS team. The only goal here is to get that check written, send it off, and not get hurt. Alabama lost the starting linebacker in that game against Miami. He is a very good linebacker. And he now, Will Anderson, who I've mentioned before on this show, who's an all-SEC, all-American, all-everything, an absolute Ray Lewis now you're going to be able to run at him as opposed to away from him because, or you're going to be able to run away from him rather at him because you're losing Christopher Allen, who's another high. So this is a big concern for teams like Florida and Alabama this weekend. That's not to get hurt.
Yeah, well, you can't go out there and play scared. You got to go out there and
I get it. Bad things happen, but they are zero. I don't know what you gain out of these games. I think Florida will have more to gain because Florida needs to see if they can do what you say, throw the football 10 yards. And if they can, in this game, maybe that'll feed off.
Well, I will be shocked if we don't complete a bunch of balls down the field in this game. If we don't, I got serious concern. But you're going to see both quarterbacks play. You're going to see a lot of people play in this game. And we'll talk more a little bit later with Joey Johnston, who is the sideline reporter with USF, get his thoughts of what they're talking about in Tampa.
They're talking about the Bucks.
Oh, they're talking about the Rays, probably. That's what they're talking about.
The Rays and the Bucks.
Yeah, that's true. And you and I, here in a minute, we're going to pick our teams that we think make the playoffs in the National Football League since it starts tomorrow. And obviously on Friday, we'll be picking our games.
Okay.
So,
I like
anyway.
it. Yeah.
I was reading here. Oh, yeah, Dan just brought up. This could be a good game, even though I think it's got blowout written all over it. Texas A&M is traveling to, I think, Denver to play Colorado out there.
They'll kill them. Although Texas A&M did not wow anybody over the weekend, that's okay. I don't think Jimbo did.
Well, they did. They did have over 500 something yards of offense and won by 31.
I don't know then why the national media is not gushing over them, although they are ranked number 5 in the new AP poll.
So if the playoffs started today, JC, here are the 4 teams I would have in. I would have Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas A&M would be my 4 teams.
That makes sense to me. This is an early part of the year, but you've got 3 SEC teams ranked in the top 5 between Alabama, Georgia, and A&M. You got Ohio State and Oklahoma in between. Clemson drops down to 6. How about Cincinnati? I think of all the teams that played over the weekend, they were one of the most impressive teams. Cincinnati Bearcats. Then Notre Dame's at 8, and the 2 Iowas who play this weekend. And by the way, your guy Matt Campbell has never beaten the Hawkeyes. So Iowa State and Iowa do play this weekend in Ames. We're going to see if Iowa State can get it together because they looked awful against Northern Iowa, but they always do. It seems like for some reason Northern Iowa plays those 2 Iowa schools as well as anybody in the entire Big Ten. I have no idea why, but Iowa State and Iowa play this weekend. That's another headline game, one of the bigger games of the weekend. It's kind of a soft schedule this weekend, but there are a few good ones, and we mentioned some of those earlier. I think Iowa and Iowa State, though, is, those are 2 top 10 teams right now, 9 against 10 in Ames, Iowa. So watch for that one.
Yeah. Can you believe College Game Day's there for that?
I can believe it because they've been begging for that. It's going to look great. It's going to be fun. I don't know if they've been to Ames. So I think, they're obviously going to be thrilled to have them up there. And I think it's good for the sport that they go to places like this. They go to places like Fargo, North Dakota, when North Dakota State's playing a game against somebody once in a while. You do these trips. And Iowa State's, look, that's a serious team. It's a top 10 team, but they did not look good against Northern Iowa. The Iowa Hawkeyes looked very good against Indiana. And Matt Campbell cannot beat Iowa. He hasn't beaten them yet. He's beaten Oklahoma twice, but he has not beaten Iowa. So
Yeah, John says on Facebook Live here, brought to you by Metal Law, A&M QB threw 3 interceptions, didn't look good. But he also threw 2 touchdowns and threw for like 360 yards. I like him a lot. I watched him. I think he's going to be a stud. He's a freshman, Haynes King. Did you see any of him, JC?
I missed that A&M game. I just looked at the score. But listen, they're loaded. I mean, they've got players.
They are loaded.
They've got players everywhere. And you know, they just need to stay healthy. It's like all these teams, staying healthy, staying away from COVID. All of this crap is something that has to happen if you're going to have a big year. It has to. You have to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. And remember, if your team can't play because of COVID, it's a forfeit, bro.
I don't know how that's possible without how many players you got on the team. I don't know how that's even possible.
I know. You've talked about that before.
You got plenty of dudes to play. Joseph says Oklahoma's now in the SEC, so you got 4 of the top 5.
Okay. Well, listen, yeah, and if Texas plays, continues to get better, and I think Texas is a team with a new quarterback, Hudson Card. Look, both those Texas schools are going to be fighting it out now for all of eternity because A&M's not going to get all those great players by saying, hey, you get to come to the SEC. Texas can now say that. And Texas is the state institution there. I think it's going to be Texas and A&M fighting each other for all of eternity. It's great. I think it's going to add so much to this league that those 2 schools are going to get back on the field to play each other because they absolutely loathe each other, not just on the football field, but in every other way. That's a great rivalry. It is great that it's going to happen again.
Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This September, mention promo code Shane to receive 30% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC, we'll have Joey Johnston, who's the sideline reporter for the Bulls of South Florida. We'll have him in the second portion of the show. Chris asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, Shane, you don't think Oklahoma's in your top 4? They were. I dropped them down just because they were up 27 at halftime, and then they just fell asleep and let Tulane make it a game. Sandy wanted to know what the attendance at the Gator game was. It was like 86,000 on Saturday night. So there weren't many empty seats, which was good to see.
And there won't be in a little over a week either.
Well, that will be standing room only.
Yeah, and man, I just hope it's not hot. I mean, that whole
it's going to be hot, JC.
I mean, I just hope it's not. I hope there's some clouds up there in the air. You're gonna have students dropping in the aisles because they're going to be hammered all day long, walking into that place. I mean, anyway, we'll find out. I don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. But you know, I don't understand why UCLA would be ranked 16th, all of 5 spots behind Penn State and 7 spots behind Iowa State after week 1 in the AP poll. But that's just the AP poll. I don't know. Maybe LSU really is bad. I don't know.
LSU, would you say is bad or isn't bad?
Maybe they really are.
They're bad. I think Ed O is on the serious hot seat.
Yeah.
Serious hot seat.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get fired.
2 years removed, not less than 2 years removed from a national title. That's hard to believe, frankly.
Yeah, but they've looked terrible since Joe Burrow left.
They have. And last year, though, you can put an asterisk by. You know, it's COVID year. But since he left, yeah, it wasn't that long ago, QB. I mean, it's what, less than 2 years ago?
I know, but think about it. They're going to lose to Alabama. They're going to lose to A&M. The Florida game could be a toss-up because it's there.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, I don't know where Ole Miss plays them. That's a toss-up game.
Oh, that's gonna be a fist fight there. And I think, yeah, I mean, I'm not big on that. They play at Kentucky. They play Auburn. They play at Mississippi. And you're right. There's 5 losses right there potentially for that team unless they figure out how to tackle people. Yeah, they got to figure out how to tackle folks.
Well, our meteorologist, Dan, out in Texas, is giving us the early weather report. It's supposed to be high of 85 with rain for the Bama game.
Oh, well, that would be just delightful. That would not be hot at all. Although, rain. How are you going to predict rain 9 days out there, Big Dan? But, hey, anything's possible here in Rainsville, baby. Yeah.
Cool. If it's 85 and it starts to rain, it's going to turn into 100 degrees very fast.
I know it's going to be awful.
We got another text here from Daryl on the Titan Mark text line. He says, "Good morning, guys. Would FAU beat UCF if they played each other?" Yes, they would.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Would FAU, the Owls, beat the Bulls if they played?
Oh, UCF. You said UCF. It's USF. So
no. Okay, that's what maybe I did. So would the Owls beat the Bulls?
I guess.
I think they would destroy them.
Bulls suck, man. They're horrible.
Here's the problem, and this is a huge problem for any level of football you got. If your quarterbacks ain't very good, you ain't got a chance.
You're in trouble.
And USF, I looked at their stats the other day, but JC, I don't know if you saw their stats from their game the other night.
Yeah.
Their quarterbacks, let me try to pull it up here. I should have been more prepared.
Let's just say this.
They play? Here it is. Okay, they lost 45-0. Okay.
Yes.
Their quarterbacks went 7 of 13 for 120 yards and 7 of 20 for 41 yards. They threw a total of 3 interceptions.
I mean, it's just a terror. They just don't have any players. Then they can't recruit them either. It's just a bad program right now. That's all you can say. You can't sugarcoat this at all. They're just a bad team. And there's many bad teams in this country, QB. We got one in the SEC that somehow can swindle the rest of the schools to allow it to get $90 million when the new TV contract comes out. Does Vanderbilt really deserve that? I mean, you've got programs like North Dakota State. You've got programs out there in the country, Coastal Carolina. These are programs that are trying, at least. You got Vanderbilt. You know what they do with their TV money? They're going to throw it in the endowment. I mean, why is Vanderbilt even in the SEC? I'm starting to think they shouldn't even be in the SEC. I'm starting to think they shouldn't even get that $90 million. And it's a shame that they're taking a cut out of that pie because they are ridiculous how bad they are.
Do you think they win a game this year?
No.
Hang on. Have you looked at their schedule?
Well, I know they play an SEC schedule now.
They play Connecticut, who just lost at home to Holy Cross.
There's a win right there because
they're beating Connecticut.
Well, they're in total disarray. Connecticut lost the coach yesterday. He didn't want to be there anyway. They gave up on him. He gave up on them.
Well, hey, his record is like 6-50.
Yeah, it's horrible, Randy Edsel. But listen, this is a school that just got run out of the building by East Tennessee State. I'm telling you, they don't care about football. They don't put any money into it. When James Franklin left, they gave up. And they're going to get $90 million or whatever it is when the new TV contract comes out once Texas and Oklahoma come in. And I can tell you there are 10 other schools out there that are trying, at least, to be good programs that could use that money a lot better than Vanderbilt, who's probably going to go stick it away in some ridiculous endowment.
Well, they're going to recruit really good baseball players. I can tell you that. John says on Facebook Live, I want your thoughts on this, JC, real quick before we switch to the NFL.
Sure.
He says no one's talking about how bad that Georgia offense is. Do you think Georgia's offense is bad, or do you give Clemson credit on defense?
Yeah. No, listen, folks. Clemson has one of the top 5 defenses in the country. That, I think, is a fact. I think Georgia will be fine. Remember, a lot of guys did not play in that Clemson game. Pickens didn't play. There was another guy who didn't play. They had more injuries on offense than Clemson did, and they didn't have all their weapons. Georgia is going to be fine. They will score. They will hold everybody to minimal points. They will be a very difficult team to handle. And Georgia
they got a tough little game this week at home against UAB, who's a good little program.
UAB is good. UAB is good. They are well coached. See, that's another school. I would say put UAB in the SEC and get Vanderbilt the hell out of there because at least UAB wants to play football. But Georgia,
they didn't for a while. They shut it down for a while.
That wasn't on it. That was the administrators because they didn't know how to count money. But listen, Georgia plays at Auburn. And I'm looking at their schedule here. Florida at Auburn. That's it. I mean, UAB, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Kentucky at home, Missouri at home, Charleston Southern, Georgia Tech, Tennessee. I don't see a loss there except perhaps maybe at Auburn or Florida or Kentucky. That's it. Those are the only 3 schools that don't even be close to them because they're ridiculous on defense.
All right, JC, let's switch gears to the NFL. It kicks off tomorrow night. The Bucs play. You and I are going to do our predictions of the 7 teams we think make it into the playoffs, who wins each division, and who we got in the Super Bowl. Okay, let's go AFC East. Well, just give me your 4 AFC division winners, and then give me your 3 wild cards.
Well, in the AFC East, I'm taking the Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
In the AFC,
I have the Bills as well winning that division.
Yep, I think Josh Allen is great. So then in the AFC South, I'm taking the Tennessee Titans.
Okay, I have them as well.
In the AFC North, I think everybody's on Cleveland. I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
I got the Cleveland Browns. I think they're loaded.
Cleveland Browns may have the best offensive line in the NFL. They are tremendous, but I'll just take Pittsburgh for the heck of it. And then in the AFC West, I've got Kansas City.
I got Kansas City too. So who are your 3 wild cards?
So the wild card teams are going to be Cleveland as one wild card team. Go ahead. Who you got?
Mine is Baltimore.
Okay, good pick there. I like that one. The other wild card team I'm going to have would be the I think the New England Patriots are going to slip in there somehow. I don't know why. I'm that's kind of a sentimental pick for Mac Jones. I'm hoping he's successful.
I have the Patriots as well. I think they're
oh, do you?
They have a tremendous offensive line. They have one of the best running games in the league, and I think he is ready to have a heck of a year. So I got the Patriots as well.
Okay. And then, I was thinking about the Colts. I was thinking hard about the Colts. I think if they're healthy, watch out for the Colts. And I looked at their schedule, and it's brutal. So my other wild card team will be, and I hate taking 3 teams out of one division, so I'm not going to take Baltimore, even though they'll make it. So I will take Baltimore. That gives you 3 teams that. No, you know what? I'm not going to take Baltimore. I think something's going to go wrong in Baltimore. But gosh, yeah, I have to take Baltimore. Give me Baltimore.
Okay, you have Baltimore. You didn't pick your favorite team, the Jags.
Are you?
My final team is the San Diego, not the San. What are they called? The LA Chargers.
The Chargers, LAC. All right, that's in the AFC.
Okay, let's move over to the NFC. Wow, who do you got?
I don't know how 3 teams out of one division can make the playoffs, but with the extra playoff spot, maybe that's how. Okay, in the NFC East, it's kind of a rough division. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys.
Of course you are. I'm taking the Washington Redskins to win.
You're going to take the Washington football team, also known as
whatever. Yeah, my bad. My bad. Don't send a bunch of text and
they're the damn Redskins.
And Facebook Live. I call them the Redskins.
Okay. In the NFC South, I've got 2 teams making the playoffs out of that division, but I think the division winner will be Tampa Bay.
I got the Bucks winning it.
Okay. In the NFC North, I really think it's going to be close between the Bears and the Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers.
I got the Packers as well.
Okay. Out west, I think my team, the Rams, have a chance to go all the way. I'm going to take the Rams.
I have the Rams winning the West as well. Who are your 3 wild cards?
All right, wild card teams. I'm going to start with the San Francisco 49ers as one of them.
I have them as well.
Just think Shanahan is really, really, really good. I've got the Saints of New Orleans coming out of the South.
I have the Saints as well.
Wow, we're too close here. And then this is a tough one. The other one, I don't know. I love the Chicago Bears if they can figure out how to score, because I think their defense is just absolutely scary. But I'm going to take your Washington football team as a wild card team just because of how good their defense is. So I'm taking Washington as the 3rd wild card.
And I will take the Minnesota Vikings as my last and final pick.
That's a different pick there. Okay.
Dan, we got a Facebook Live here. It says Will Greer was a great pickup addition. Who did Will Greer sign with? You got any idea?
Giants, maybe?
I don't know. Maybe somebody going here will let us know. Okay, who do you got playing in the Super Bowl, JC?
Well, sentimentally, I want the Rams to play, but something tells me they're not going to get past San Francisco because they always lose to San Francisco. So I don't want to take the Saints, and I don't want to take the Packers, so I'm going to take the Rams.
You just said you weren't going to take the Rams.
I know I shouldn't, but you see, I thought you were going to call me a homer guy. But I think it's going to be L.A., and, it's too easy to pick Kansas City. It's too easy to pick Buffalo. Those are clearly the 2 favorites, I think, in the AFC. So instead of picking either one of those, I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns.
You just said a few minutes ago you didn't think the Browns were going to win the division, and now you got them going to the Super Bowl.
Well, wild card teams can go and win the Super Bowl quite easily, and they have. So
true.
Look at what the Buccaneers did last year, winning the Super Bowl as a wild card team. So it's all about who catches fire in that latter part of the season, who's healthy. That's all this really is. It's a war of attrition in the NFL. Everybody knows that. But I'm praying for my Rams. I got season tickets. I'll make millions of dollars if they would go to the Super Bowl. And if they Cleveland, I don't know why. It sounds ridiculous to have Cleveland in the Super Bowl. It sounds ridiculous. Maybe I need to change that because that does sound ridiculous.
I think they got a very good chance. So you have the Browns playing who? The Rams?
The Rams.
Okay. I got the Buffalo Bills beating the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Oh, so you think they're going to get a Super Bowl win in Buffalo in 2020?
Yep, and then they're going to have to move out of the city because they can't get a stadium agreement.
Oh man, wouldn't that be something? Well, listen, I've got a good friend who's a Buffalo fan that says they're going to build something downtown, but I'll believe it when I see it. Dallas, I think, is a team, if they stay healthy, could do some damage. I also think the 49ers, if they stay healthy with Deebo Samuel and all those weapons, Mostert, and if Garoppolo stays healthy, if Kittle stays healthy, San Francisco can play with anybody. Yep. And I think Jameis Winston is going to have a good year in New Orleans just because of Sean Payton. It's not because, he is so important to get Jameis Winston to do the right things that New Orleans with that defense is a pretty scary team too.
All right, JC, we got to run. We got to go and talk to our man Joey Johnston, and we're going to talk about the South Florida Bulls, what's going to happen on Saturday. We'll talk to you on Friday. Go study up your picks. We got the Peachland Dentistry picks.
I got it. Okay, see you then.
That's JC joining us on the Titan Emerald Hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We'll be joined by Joey Johnston, who works down in Tampa on the USF website, also the sideline reporter for the Bulls, talking Gators and Bulls. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Company. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studio. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Bass Pro Shops, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron French Pastries, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, and now open the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Make your reservations today at SpurriersGridironGrill.com. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go back to the Titan Elmore Hotline. We're going to head down to Tampa. We're going to be joined by the sideline reporter for the USF Bulls. He also writes for the Tampa Bay Times and USF website, Joey Johnston. You can follow him on Twitter at Joey Johnston 813. Good morning, Joey. How are you, bud?
Good morning, Shane. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's first off, how excited, I mean, we know what's going on in the city of Tampa with all their professional teams and success that they've had. But is there a little buzz with the Gators coming to town finally?
Yeah, obviously there is, and as you probably know, Tampa is a big Gator town, so it'll be really interesting to see what the crowd is going to be like on Saturday. I'm pretty sure a lot of it will be orange and blue. It's the first time that Florida has come in to play USF. Florida's played in Tampa many times over the years. In fact, this is the 45th time ever that Florida has played in Tampa, so they're a pretty familiar visitor over the years. But yeah, anytime you get the Gators rolling in, it's a big deal, and it's coming on the heels of Thursday night's Bucs-Dallas Cowboys game to open the NFL season. So it's a huge football weekend in Tampa.
No doubt about it. Let's talk about new coach. Charlie Strong was out a couple of years ago. They bring in Jeff Scott from Clemson. Year one probably went how most people thought it would under a new coach. Year two didn't get off to a great start last Thursday night against NC State, 45-0 loss. Just give us your thoughts on this South Florida football team going into the Gator game.
Well, it's obviously there's a ton of work that needs to be done, and it's probably the kind of team that would have benefited from maybe a softer schedule at the front of the season. They're not getting that. Obviously, they open at NC State, which is a pretty good team. Looks like a contender in the ACC. Now they come home to play the Gators, one of the best teams in the country. So really some big challenges off the bat. And then 2 weeks they go to BYU. So at some point the schedule will settle down and they'll start playing conference games, and maybe it'll start to come back to them. But tough beginning, particularly with all the new players they have. They've got a flood of transfers. They're breaking in a new quarterback, new players almost at every position. So probably some growing pains are to be expected. Obviously you lose the game 45-0 in the opener. That's not anything close to what you want. There actually were some good things that they did. That sounds crazy in a 45-0 game, but one thing that comes to mind on the first series against NC State, they had them in a 3rd and long, and the defensive lineman batted the ball at the line. Instead of being incomplete or intercepted, it goes right into the hands of an NC State receiver who gets a first down. They continue to drive and score. Now that's one play in a 45-0 game, but it was the kind of thing that kind of changed the tempo early. It wasn't exactly what they were looking for. So just a ton of growing pains, a lot of things to develop. Playing Florida at home isn't the recipe to develop necessarily, but that's where they are. So they're hoping for some improvement, and certainly they want to develop more consistency on offense, and they've got to find a way to stop this Gator rushing attack, which is going to be a problem for everybody all season.
Yes. So as you mentioned, this is Jeff Scott's 2nd year. He brought in some transfers. Do you think when a new coach nowadays comes in, looks at his roster, how many transfers did they pick up in the transfer portal?
Well, right now on the roster, and this would include this year and last year, they have 29 on their roster and 18 that played in an FBS school. Their quarterback is a transfer. Their primary running back is a transfer. 3 of their 4 starters when the season began in the secondary were transfers. So all over the map, they've got guys that played at other Division I schools. So it's very much a thing that's in transition. And I know for some programs that's going to be a way of life. Is the transfer portal versus recruiting high school kids. I know some colleges around the country actually have a coach that their job is the transfer portal. They keep track of it on a daily basis and keep track of potential recruits. So it's kind of a way of life. It's different than what we're used to. It used to be in the old days when you have a transfer, you'd think, well, what's the problem here? Why'd they transfer? And now it's just become like a way of life. But you're certainly not going to have the ease of transition on the team when you've got all these new players. So again, growing pains, growing on the run, and they're having to do it against a tough schedule. So it could, the results like 45-0 might be predictable.
So for Florida fans watching this, when Florida's on offense, what can we expect? What type of defense does South Florida run?
Their base defense is a 3-3-5. They will go to a 4-man front at times. They're undersized up front. First of all, that's the first thing you'll notice. They are quick and athletic, but they do not have the physical matchups. So that's going to be something to watch if Florida can impose its will against USF's front line. We've got a pretty good group of linebackers, including the 2 that played a lot last year and this year, Antonio Greer and Dwayne Boyles as the weak side linebacker might be the best defensive player on the team, both quick, athletic. The place where they've really upgraded their team is in the secondary. They've gotten a lot faster and bigger. They were really deficient there last year, and they've added a lot of talent. They have Matthew Hill at strong safety. He's a transfer from they have TJ Robinson, a cornerback, who's a transfer from Rutgers. So they've really upgraded the overall look of that secondary to where it actually could be, as the season goes on, a strong point. But I think overall, if you look at a matchup, Florida's offense against USF's defense, you're going to see physical mismatches at most places. and USF's just going to have to try to get its will going and try to slow these guys down and substitute and do the best they can with the depth they have, because on paper it doesn't seem to match up at all.
Right. We're speaking with Joey Johnston here on the Titan More Hotline, talking a little USF football. I wanted to ask you, there's been talk in the last couple of weeks, and I haven't really followed it closely, but I think UCF is a potential candidate to go to the Big 12.
That's right.
Has anybody contacted the USF about going to the Big 12? And do you think that's going to hurt the rivalry if they were to go to a different conference?
Yeah, it remains to be seen, but certainly USF UCF has developed into a fun football rivalry, and actually in all sports as well. And it would be a shame if that were to go by the boards. What's happening is, and I think this could be made official by the end of the week, but apparently the Big 12 is set to invite UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston, which are all members of the American Athletic Conference, which is where USF is. And USF was in the hunt for this, but apparently in this first wave of expansion, those are the three they're going with. USF is still hopeful of being included at some point, as this thing is, changes by the day. But so that would bring the Big 12 to 12 members, and there's thought that maybe they might ultimately want to go to 16, in which case USF could be a part of that. Long story short, if in fact UCF does go to the Big 12, I'm hopeful that they will continue their rivalry as a non-conference opponents, because it just makes too much sense with schools 90 miles apart, very similar in so many ways, that they wouldn't want to continue that for the fans. But I could be wrong. Those things have been wrong before. But, USF was in the Big East years ago, and UCF was on the outside looking in. Now it appears the shoe's on the other foot. UCF may be going to the Big 12, and USF will be looking in, nose pressed against the glass. But certainly I think for the betterment of both of them, they're better together. And I think in a Big 12 situation, if you were to say, look, we can have Tampa, Orlando, and the I-4 corridor, and all that comes along with that, that's a pretty powerful thing. So I would hope that ultimately they would be back together.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I wanted to ask because I've always thought that, once UCF built their own campus facility, their own little stadium there, and quit playing in the Citrus Bowl, I felt like that really helped their program. Has there been any talk or any plans for South Florida to build something on their own so they're not playing at Raymond James?
There's been constant talk about it, but no movement. USF plays at Raymond James Stadium, which is where the Bucks play. It's a stadium they rent, they don't own. So when they play USF games, the pirate ship is there. The Bucks advertisements and colors are there. So it's home, but it's sort of not home in a way. So I agree with you. An on-campus stadium would be great. I think with everything that's happening in the landscape of college sports, with UCF potentially going to the Big 12, I think this could really speed up these talks to get an on-campus stadium. One thing USF is doing, and in fact it's happening today, they're having a groundbreaking. They're going to have a $22 million indoor facility that they've needed desperately, and they're groundbreaking for that today. So, as you know, with Florida weather and the rain and the lightning, you almost can't go without an indoor facility. So they're finally getting that. So I think logically the next step would be to really get on the fast track for an on-campus stadium, because it makes all the difference in the world to have that kind of game day atmosphere, and I think it would add a lot of juice. But takes money. They've got to get that raised. But I think it's gone. It has to go from this point from something, hey, we'd like to have it, to no, it needs to be urgent. It needs to be on the fast track. I think we could see that happening in the coming weeks and months. Yeah, hopefully so. Joey, you're also, I didn't realize this, but this is the 25th year of South Florida football, and you wrote a book on that. We do have some people that are South Florida Bull fans that listen to my show. If they're interested in checking this book out, how do they go about it? And kind of give us a brief synopsis of what it's all about. Yeah, it's called the Silver Stampede. And it's available at the USF bookstore currently. We're trying to get it in some other areas and outlets. And you could also check gousfbulls.com. That's the athletic website, which will have more information. But the interesting thing about USF football is USF was founded in 1956. They didn't have a football team until 1997. And you might think, well, 41 years, what happened? What happened was when they built the school, the first president was not an athletics person, did not want athletics. So he pretty much prohibited them from having a program. And when they built up the the plans for construction of the campus, the original plans had a site for a stadium, but that went by the board. So decades passed. And when the 90s came around, USF officials finally realized, hey, with the way college sports are going, if you don't have a football team, you get left behind. So they made it a priority. Leroy Selman was hired to head the fundraising. It got done. USF started at the 1AA level in 1997, advanced very quickly, and incredibly enough, in 11 years after the first game, USF in 2007 found itself as number 2 in the country. It was really an incredible story how quickly that happened. And over the years, USF has gotten victories on the road against Auburn, Florida State, beaten Notre Dame, beaten West Virginia, Louisville. I mean, some of the things that USF did in its infancy are really, really kind of incredible. Jim Leavitt was the first coach, and they had no facilities. They worked out of trailers. So that's the unique part of this whole story, is telling how they built this thing from nothing. And it was really there's tons of schools since that have started football all over the country. And they've kind of used USF as a model of a way to do it, to build it up and get it going. Because back when USF started, nobody was starting football. It wasn't something people did. But after USF did it, everybody seemed to do it. So it's really added a lot of programs to the country. So USF's rise as a football program, I think, is really a cool story. And now it's just a matter of them, finding a way to kind of turn the corner to take it up to the next level.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Before we let you go, I got to switch gears. You obviously cover the Tampa Bay Rays, and they're a team that just flies under the radar, it seems like, every year. Do you think this is the year they can win it all?
Like any year, they're going to be right in the hunt there. They are incredible. The last 2 days have been amazing. They've with their wins over the Red Sox, they were trailing on Monday 7-1. They ended up winning the game 11-10 in 10 innings, and then they won the game last night 12-7. They have a ton of offense, and they also have a very unique pitching staff. Their approach is they try to get their starter through 5 innings, and then they put the bullpen and they mix and match like nobody's business. And they certainly have a chance. Whether they can sustain it in the postseason, remains to be seen. Whether they can beat the Dodgers or people like that. But they're knocking on the door, and they're doing it with a very low payroll and not a lot of fans, as you probably know. They don't draw a lot of fans to their games. Boy, they are amazing in their ability to identify players off the scrap heap and get them in the lineup and make them productive. I mean, they are extremely smart at what they do. And, if you knock on the door long enough, maybe you'll get a chance to win it. So certainly they're going to be right in the hunt this year. So it will be great. As y'all know, the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, the Lightning won the Stanley Cup. We're just missing the Rays win the World Series. If that happens, then we've got everything. So it's an incredible time for sports in Tampa, and this weekend will typify that. Again, the NFL season kicks off with Bucs Cowboys, and we get Florida USF on Saturday. So sports in Tampa, it's never been better than it is right now.
Yeah, I got a quick text here on the Titan More text line. It comes from John. He wants to know, Joey, do you think USF got rid of Charlie Strong too soon?
I don't. It wasn't going in a good direction. They started 7-0 in 2018 and ended up 7-6 and lost in their bowl game at home in their home stadium to Marshall, and then followed up at 4-8. The wheels were coming off. I think they had to do something. And now, things haven't moved in a good direction. They're 5-27 in their last 32 games since that 7-0 start. But I think what they've got is Jeff Scott has he's starting from scratch essentially, and he's got to build it up, and there's going to be a lot of pain in the build up. But the hope is that you get the right people in the right places and take a few lumps, and then you build it where you build to a level where you can compete for a championship, where you're not just trying to be a 6-6 team every year. So, which I think is what they need to do. 6-6 is fine, but you don't want to be that team every year. You want to be you're sitting here in Tampa, Florida with Florida athletes. You need to be able to compete for a conference championship. So that's what they're trying to do. They're not obviously not at that point right now, but they're trying to get there. So, they've made their declaration on their coach and their talent, and they've just got to build it up and maybe take some lumps now, but ultimately in a few years, hopefully they'll be at a level where they can compete for a championship.
Good stuff, Joey. Appreciate all the joining the program, talking USF Bulls. Should be a fun Saturday with the Gators rolling into town. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Shane. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Joey Johnston. You can follow him on Twitter at Joey Johnston 813. We're going to take our final time out of the program, come back, wrap up this Wednesday edition. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Company. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Meals Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us. Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is now South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. They're hiring right now with great culture and benefits, opportunity for growth, $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports in 2002, rookie quarterback David Carr throws for 2 TDs as the Houston Texans beat the Dallas Cowboys to become only the second expansion team to win their inaugural game. The other was the Minnesota Vikings. So that's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. I want to thank JC for joining us. We got our NFL picks in, and also Joey Johnston, the South Florida Bulls sideline reporter, giving us a thought. Yeah, they're not very good, folks. Florida can name their score in this game, in my opinion. Need to be safe, keep everybody injury-free, and get ready for Alabama. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll have Brent Beard, a college football analyst, giving us some news and notes going around the country. We'll also have our Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Rap Spot. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow.